Hey guys, well, what I have to report is things seem a little different. It's I at first I was thinking maybe something's off, okay? Um, because I kind of just laid here in the bed today. I did wake up earlier, but the cat came later to me, and I was like laying here, and I mean it was getting really late this morning. It was like I was treating it like it was a Sunday or something, one of those secular Sundays. Secular Sundays where you don't get out of bed till, well, what time do you have to get up, I don't know. But something's different. There's some kind of there's a difference. And it feels better. It feels like, perhaps, maybe like I got another coat of something decent or good. I think I'm going to end up with a pretty darn hard shell on the outer edges of my aura. And the aura will be like real dense and thick on the outside, or, well, not, maybe, actually, just pure light or something. Yeah, something's just like, wow, so impenetrable to all the things we don't want to come through. You know what I mean. I saw several headlines today. It's really interesting. I don't think this voice of mine, I am going to have to get used to that. I'm going to have to teach myself not to say that anymore again. And yeah, I think it's like we actually broke through something, and we're still doing it. It's like, picture yourself actually breaking through something, and it's not all breaking through all at once. It's like you are emerging up out of it, from it, perhaps, maybe. Something like that. And it's not bad at all. I see it from the headlines, someone or somebody was caught on a supervillain monologue. In other words, they got caught in a loop of some sort, right? Some type of cognitive loop where they became the supervillain or something. Well, I mean, you know what? And if you do the Lex Luthor thing or whatever bad guy kind of thing you're going to do, if you're going to play that part, then, you have to take the advice of Beretta, Robert Blake, and understand that you don't do the crime unless you can do the time. That's right. Because, supervillains, you know how they always end up. Always. They always end up, oh, wow, defeated. And with all caps, just at some point that is like, and now you're done completely, and you're over with. So, and that's why you want to be on the good side. Remember, you guys, you always want to be on the good team, to the team that's good, not the black darkness of all you hear is one, the justice system not playing with them. What I've been getting is that they are basically, while I'm emerging into a different world, they're sliding over into a whole different adventure for themselves, like a different world. That's the thing I've been getting. And hey, we do need to be separate. I certainly do need to be separate from all those, just to heal. If nothing else, hey. But there's so much more. Attitudes are changing again, or re-solidifying again, leaning towards the correct direction naturally. And see, that's an awful lot of what we're talking about, guys. It's again, think of yourself walking around, okay, and you and all the other people are not exactly all on the same level of the ground. Some of them are walking a few inches below the ground, like they're clipping in a video game. They're going through the supposed surface that's there somehow. They're not staying on the surface of it where they're supposed to, and they're breaking through it. While others seem to be walking several inches or a foot or two above it. And then you notice that some people have their head on their shoulders. You know, if you got your head on your shoulders and you know what you're doing, where you're going, right, then you're going to get there, and you're going to get there pretty easily, and it's not going to be a big, terrible thing. But if you don't have your head on your shoulders, then where do you have it? Oh, some of them has it right down there where their crotch would be, because it's sticking, facing down. It's not, you know, it's pointed down. The crown is pointed down towards the other signal. And you see what I'm saying? And then there's people that's carrying their head in there on the side, you know, and it's pointing off to the side. It's sort of like hearing both signals. They're not exactly sure which way they're going, up or down, and that kind of thing. And of course, you also see past, you know, into the fact that, yeah, well, they're kind of human, on their way to being human, or on their way to being not a human. And they're more, this one be more animal than that one over there. And you can see, oh, those over there, they like sex, of course, you know. And these over here, well, been in trouble, it looks like. Because, you know, whenever you see the movies and they do a burial in a Catholic situation, you'll hear them say ashes to ashes and dust to dust. I remember asking Darth Vader once, why do they say that? You know, I was a young man still at the time, a child still probably. And he didn't answer that. That was one of those that they just sort of look off into space and oh, well, I guess I should ask them some other time. They're busy listening to something else. Or they just can't hear me. But, you know, the reason why is because not all people, you know, like Adam, are made from the mud. You know, some of them have made a transition over into being not light, right? But instead, something of the fire. So sometimes at the end of it, you know, you have people that die that are fire people. And then you have the other people that die that are dust people, right? The kind that you bury, you know. Now, I guess you can bury the ashes of the fire people. But anyway, that's the whole thing on that. Do I digress? Did I have a subject at hand? The protection that's over your life is making people ask, who are you? Well, or are they proclaiming they are who? Didn't Jesus say to one of his guys, who do you say I am? Like, well, what do you people think? Before, I think at some point, he might have made a proclamation about his divinity. But I do remember it was the others that were all proclaiming that he was divine. And then he would say something in return to them as that in effect kind of confirmed it. Not directly like a, yes, exactly. But I mean, then he said all the other stuff. You know, again, when you look at him, you saw the Father's face. So he had to be 100% on. And I think that's an awful lot of what people never get about the deal that's going on. And or they mess up and they think, oh, well, there's always time. But remember what Kid Rock said. He's one of the prophets, apparently. Or at least at that moment he was a prophet. Or an astute observer of what reality was all about. Let's say that then. Because it's, yeah, you can always turn to Jesus until you can't. And that's the thing. You know, is there anything left for him to say? Or have you become a big ball of hate and fire and blackness and darkness and all kind manner of curses and something that everyone in the world would look at and go, Jesus, save me. You know? Yeah, it's if there is a tremendous protection over me, then it is them above. It is all them that love. And see, that's the thing. They keep on talking about how they don't, you know, have this or that or whatever. And it's like, look, the difference is this. The difference between night and day, life and death, light and darkness, that which loves or that which hates. You're not supposed to combine the two. If ever you do, it's for a very specific intended outcome that light has designed. And I'm telling you, the absolute truth is, the light person that would be taking on the other damn thing would be huge in comparison to the other thing. Huge, because it would be nothing more than a little black dot that could be snuffed out at any moment. Why? Because we know who and what they are. You don't invite witches into your church any more than you invite cobras into your house to play with your toddlers. You just don't do it. That's why. I see the Draconic is out there saying, no need to worry, you're a natural. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, what do you think that movie is about? Somebody got sidetracked. And by whom? Well, you saw craziness. It's all just like in the Tom Cruise movie. It's always some crazy bitch that's messing this story up. Like Eve, they listen to the wrong voice, and then what do? That's why they're not supposed to have the vote. That's why. At least within the construct that we're given, it seems logical, or rather illogical, for them to have all these rights and everything regarding how things go in our society, and or that the court system would favor them in any way. In other words, as far as all this feminism goes, I think Islam's got a better handle on the way the world works, truthfully. I bet you the witches don't like that. But then again, I'll be above all witches. Far above all witches. That's for sure. I heard one of them talking the other day. I think it was maybe CJ, and he was talking about how, oh, they're, and well, several of them were saying that, they'd gone off the hook and were bouncing off the walls with the stories and stuff, They want to take over everything. They want to rule the world. And it was funny that they were talking about that, because it was that day that I heard that everybody wants to rule the world. And I know I ruined that. I know I can't. But the question is why? Why would anyone want to rule the world? Or at least their own world? And then the second question is who is that? Or should I say, whom would we identify as that person named everybody, quote unquote, that they're referring to? Who is everybody? That would be someone that would be a part of every person or something like that, wouldn't it? How would you interpret that? I mean, when you're looking for the true definition of the words, how they're actually formed and everything. Yeah, so I wonder, at some point, I was thinking about this the other day, it's funny, she listens in an awful lot, and she's using that you're a natural thing, because more than likely because of a vibe, right? Or because she references stuff, that stood out. And of course there was the Natural movie from Robert Redford. But then there's that, I was reminded again of Jeremiah Johnson. He just keeps on going higher and higher, and then there's that scene where the grizzly bear hunter, he shows up, and Grandpa Walton, and he asks him, if it was worth it. I think it's something, and of course I'm paraphrasing what the scene was about. And he looks back at him, he says, huh? And he's like, well, all the trouble. And his response is like, what trouble? Remember, you can become acclimated to almost anything. And it's the truth of the matter. But you have to have a certain spirit to be able to rise above all the horror that is reality, and that it can be rather, and or the horror that you might experience. And that again is why we love God, the good God, him that is all light and life without any darkness within him. Our Father in the sky. We love the sky. There's a special connection there, and there is an emotional connection with Christ. And again, so if you can't feel love or that type of emotional passion, all right, then there's no way you could take my place. You can't become a son of the heaven if you feel nothing for them. And you can't feel that. And if you can't feel it for any person, how could you ever feel it for them? And if you can't feel it for any person, how could you do their work? How could they guide you? God love you. God keep you. I'm looking forward to getting closer and knowing you guys better. And yeah, it's amazing to me, a couple of these ladies have actually struck and left an impression. And even in these moments where there was only a few seconds, such as at the window where you're waiting on that bag of whatever it is. And I like to say I'm very happy, and I'm feel blessed by the fact that Wendy's always provides me good food, well-made food. It's quality. They've not tampered with it or done anything bad to it. It's just good food, and I can tell it. And it's like I feel like I don't even have to pray over it almost. There's such a good vibe coming off, but I still pray, about it. But at least in this area, and as a matter of fact, as long as I can remember, Wendy's has always provided good quality. I wonder what that is compared to these other places, But then I noticed a difference in some of the. Anyway, none of that's important, is it? But all it is a notation that, I'm real glad that even though all of this is coming on and I'm re-becoming what I was before and what I am to be, no, we don't go. We don't turn into the robot, the logical robot that's just calculating. In other words, we're not the sociopath. We're certainly not an alligator of any sort. I was really impressed with the liberal hive mind guy, because he came up with a very good presentation, and he was making the point that, even though we had one of these guys out there talking about how Elon is like not compassionate or something, is a bad guy or something. The fact of it is Elon is doing good works, and he is leaning towards light and doing the work of light in actuality. And they're going off about him because they can't control him. That's all it is. They're trying to run him down, and that's one of the reasons why they are unhappy about him, is because they can't really do anything about him going towards light. They can't do anything about it, and that's good, because he looks like to me one of those who can lighten up and can step back out from wherever he might have ventured. People can do that, and if anybody can do it, you'd think maybe somebody with $1 trillion, right? I heard that story. I was like, oh wow, that's pretty good. I mean, for what it is, for what it does, it's grand. I'm going to, I'll be getting on the X real soon. God love you guys. God keep you. And Elon, we'll talk real soon, big guy.